You know, grief is one of those things that hits us all. It's one of the most profound and, honestly, universal experiences we have as humans. So today, we're going to explore this really timeless story from the Buddhist tradition. It doesn't offer a magic cure for loss, but it gives us a powerful new way to understand it and maybe, just maybe, to navigate it. Let's get into it.
So our story starts with a powerful king. I mean, this is a guy who you'd think had everything he could possibly want. But we find him completely, totally shattered by a single, devastating moment of loss.
Okay, so picture this scene. We're in a peaceful monastery, a place called Jetta's Grove, and a king, King Pasenadi Kosala, has come to see the Buddha. But right away, you can just tell that something is deeply, deeply wrong.
The original text paints such a vivid picture of him. He's described as miserable, sick at heart, his shoulders drooping, his face down, brooding. I mean, this isn't just a bad day. This is a complete and utter collapse of his spirit. He is, as the text says, completely at a loss for words.
And then we learn why. A messenger comes and whispers the devastating news. His beloved wife, Queen Malika, has died. And just like that, the source of his immense pain is crystal clear. He's facing that raw, immediate shock of loss that just knocks the wind out of you. So the Buddha sees the king in the state of total despair. But what he does next is really interesting. Instead of just offering simple words of comfort, they're there, it'll be okay, he goes much, much deeper. He offers a fundamental diagnosis of the human condition itself, a framework for why we suffer so much in moments like these. He lays out these 5 truths that are simply inescapable because they all point to one core principle of existence: impermanence. Everything is always changing. He explains that no one, not a holy person, not a king, not even a god, can just wish this away. You can't just say, may what is subject to aging not age. You can't say, may what is subject to illness not get sick or subject to death not die. It just doesn't work that way. This applies to everything: our bodies, our relationships, the whole shebang. These are just the fundamental laws of existence. And this is so crucial, right? What the Buddha is doing here is he's reframing the king's experience. He's showing him that this isn't just some random personal tragedy. It's an encounter with the universal reality, a reality that applies to every single being that has ever lived or ever will live. This, he's saying, is simply what it means to be alive. So let's follow this, because this is where the teaching really builds to its core. The Buddha now uses this incredibly powerful metaphor to explain how our reaction to these unavoidable truths is what actually creates our deepest suffering.
So the Buddha makes this really critical distinction. On one side, you have what he calls the uninstructed person. When they're faced with loss, they just become distraught. They grieve and they lament until their entire life starts to fall apart. But then you have the instructed disciple. They face the exact same loss, but they reflect on its universal nature. They get that death comes for everyone, and that wisdom, that understanding, prevents them from falling into that same spiral of destructive despair.
And this right here, this is the brilliant central idea. The Buddha calls the uninstructed person's reaction being pierced by the poisoned arrow of sorrow. Think of it this way. The initial loss, the event itself, that's the first arrow. It's real and it hurts. There's no denying that. But the grief, the lamenting, the beating your chest, that's a second arrow, a poisoned one. And here's the kicker. It's an arrow we shoot into ourselves.
I mean, just stop and think about how radical that idea is for a second. If that second arrow, the one that causes all the torment, is self-inflicted, well, that means we have the power to stop. We had the choice not to shoot it.
So the instructed disciple, by reflecting on the fact that aging, sickness, and death are universal, they essentially pull out that poisoned arrow before it can do its real damage. They still feel the pain of the first arrow. The loss itself is still there, but they refuse to add that second layer of self-torment on top of it.
And the result of that choice is this state: sorrowless, arrowless. Now, this doesn't mean you become unfeeling or cold. Not at all. It means being totally unbound right within himself. It's a state of deep inner freedom, even when the world outside is full of inevitable change and loss. It's a resilience that's born from wisdom.
So what's the key takeaway here? Well, this teaching isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending things don't hurt. It's about preventing that hurt from turning into self-destructive torment. Misfortune, aging, illness, death, that stuff is universal. It's gonna happen. But our reaction to it, that's a choice. The deepest suffering comes from that second arrow of despair. We shoot it ourselves. And the path to freedom, to being unbound,
is to find the wisdom to choose not to shoot that second arrow.
This teaching is over 2,000 years old, and it doesn't offer some magic cure for pain. What it offers is a profound strategy for navigating it. It fully acknowledges the reality of that first arrow, the unavoidable pain of life. But it leaves us with this powerful and deeply personal question. When that first arrow strikes, will you shoot the second?